boys and girls, we've come to our final video lesson for the chapter. So you should be opening up the last flap, which is dividing mixed numbers. I think it just says dividing on it though. So let's open up that one. Now obviously, since we're coming up to the last flap on here, that means we have a test coming up soon. Next week, Tuesday, is going to be our test. So the 19th of November. So you can start getting ready for that. All right, so today you'll notice in our notes packet, we finally get to the magical KFC for our notes. So how do you divide mixed numbers? Dividing mixed numbers is going to be very similar to multiplying like what we did yesterday. So step one, just like before, is I need to change any mixed numbers to improper fractions. Remember, you're not allowed to do anything with whole numbers when you multiply and divide now. That's going to send you to math jail. It's illegal. Do not break the math laws. So if I had a mixed number, I would change it to an improper fraction before I did anything else. Then I'm going to follow my steps of KFC. K stands for keep the first fraction the same. So you're going to leave the first fraction the same after it's been changed to an improper fraction if needed. So the first one gets left alone, and you're going to then flip the second fraction. It's a special math word called the reciprocal. So if I had something like 2/3, I would flip that to 3/2. That would be its reciprocal. So when the flip step is I'm going to flip the top and bottom of the fraction. So I'm going to keep the first and I'm going to flip the second. Finally, you're going to change to a multiplication sign. So you're going to actually still be multiplying all of your fractions here. So we're not actually dividing anything. That's the good news. Then you just follow your multiplication rules and you simplify. So again, I change anything to from a mixed number to an improper fraction. I'm going to leave that first fraction alone after I do that. That's the K. Keep it the same. The second fraction I'm going to flip, and then I'm going to change division to multiplication. So that's our KFC step. You always have to make sure you're doing all three pieces. So let's do a quick example. Let's start with some simpler numbers. Let's say I just had something like 5 divided by 2/3. Now, what did we learn in class today? We learned that if I have a whole number, I can put a 1 below it. So 5 is the same thing as 5/1. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to follow my KFC steps now. K, I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. So 5/1 is going to stay 5/1. Then my next step is flip. So I have to take my 2/3, I'm going to flip the top and bottom to find its reciprocal, which is 3/2. Finally, my last step is I need to change it to a multiplication symbol. So I know my letters go a little bit out of order, but I kept the first the same. I flipped the second fraction and I changed it to a multiplication symbol. From here, I'm doing a problem just like I did yesterday. So 5 times 3 is 15, and 1 times 2 is 2. Do you think I want an improper fraction for an answer? Of course not. So how many times can 2 go into 15? 7. How many are left over? 1. So I get 7 and 1/2 for my final answer. So again, what I'm doing is I'm just changing my division problems into a multiplication problem. Let's try a harder one now. Now I have 1 2/3 divided by 3 3/4. Can I do anything with my whole numbers? No, you are breaking math law if you do that. That's going to be an illegal thing to do. So what I need to do is I need to change them into improper fractions. That's always step one. 1 times 3 plus 2. Remember, I do the bottom times the side plus the top over the bottom. So 1 times 3 is 3 plus 2 is 5. Do this example with me. If you didn't do the last one with me, that's fine, but at least do this example with me. You guys should just know do all of the example problems with me now. So if you haven't already written this down, let's write down the problem and now start solving the problem with me. So you should have written down, oh, did anyone catch my mistake there? It's not 5 over 2, but it's 5 over 3. If you were wondering why I wrote down a 2, good job paying close attention. So you should have that written down on your paper right now, 5 over 3. If you wrote down 2 already, I apologize. Erase it and change it. Now I have to change the other one. So again, I'm going to do 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is going to be 15. So I get 15 over 4. So let's go through our KFC steps now. K, I keep the first fraction the same. F, I flip the second fraction I find its reciprocal. So I get 4 over 15. And finally, I change it to multiplication. Now I could go through and do this multiplication and get 20 over 45 and simplify it down, but let's see if you guys remember our trick from yesterday. If I look along my diagonal, can I divide 5 and 15 before I do my multiplication? Yes, I can. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 15 divided by 5 is 3. So again, I'm going to make my numbers smaller before I do my multiplication. So now I get 1 times 4 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. Let's see. We got that right. 4 9ths was the answer. So basically, what we're doing today is we're still multiplying fractions and following our multiplication rules. However, now I'm just flipping the second fraction to turn it into a multiplication problem. We'll talk about this more in class tomorrow. If you didn't understand something, come to class with some questions.